Welcome in everyone to the Larsonland podcast. I'm your host, Sawyer Hill, and as always, I'm joined by my co host, Dylan Bradshaw. If you're new to the show, we come on here every Wednesday and talk about all things involving Kyle Larson. It was a busy weekend of racing for Kyle as he ran both nights at the Tulare Thunderbowl with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, as well as the NASCAR Cup Series race in Phoenix. Also, joining us on the show today in a few moments will be Austin, the owner of Bowman Base on Instagram. He will help recap the sprint car events out in Tulare, California. Dylan, how's your week been going, man?
Yeah, it's been going decent. Not too much to say on the NASCAR side of things. We saw Larson unfortunately break that valve spring, but exciting weekend being that he won his first dirt race of the season. So we can go ahead and get into that and let's get into it.
Yeah, so Kyle, of course, had to start from the rear yet again this week in the Cup Series race with that steering issue. Just seems like a common theme here for Kyle having to start in the rear.
Yeah, definitely. It didn't pose a too much of a problem at Auto Club. Obviously, he ran through the field, but I think it's getting to the case where he's just getting bored and needs something to do on the track, make his way through the field, and that's what it seems like.
It definitely seems that way. I mean, Kyle, we know how much Kyle loves to pass cars, and he doesn't seem like he has any problem doing so. He worked his way up through the field pretty quickly yet again. I think he looked like he had probably around I would say like a fourth or fifth place car all day, but just a classic Phoenix race.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Phoenix, it's not too much passing, regardless of what package we got. We've seen that in the past with the old cars. Just not too much of an exciting race. I always think it's a little special because obviously he dominated there last year in his championship win, but just overall a pretty slow race and not a big fan of having it on two races this year. I mean, it's just not very exciting. Not many passing, but what can you do?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we even saw it last year in the race that Kyle won the championship. I mean, track position is very crucial there at Phoenix. I mean, his pit crew got him out there at the end of the race in front of everybody, and nobody could pass him. I mean, it did look like coming towards the end of the race last year that Kyle didn't have the best car, and we were kind of losing hope of him winning the championship. But track position is key at Phoenix, and it was the name of the game again this past weekend. So one thing I wanted to talk about with Phoenix, I mean, we like I said, we've seen it over the years. It's one of those tracks where there's not much fall off on the speed with the tires. I mean, these guys can run pretty long runs on the tires, and I think that kind of contributes to the product of racing on the track. So, Dylan, if you had to pick one other track where you would want the championship race to be at the end of the year, where would it be?
I mean, I know you said this in the past, and I agree with it. I got to go with Bristol. It has to be one of the most exciting tracks to watch a race at. We saw that really crazy win last year with Larson, that red Valvoline car. Unfortunately, couldn't continue his red Valvoline streak at Phoenix on Sunday. But yeah, definitely Bristol. That's a great track, great racing. Would be an awesome championship race in my opinion.
I have to agree with you there. Bristol is always a very fun race, and I love watching the dirt racing and stuff, but I just don't think that having the Bristol dirt race on the schedule is a good thing. I mean, I would like to see Bristol have two races back on the normal configuration next season. So I think for me, maybe going a little oddball here. I think a fun race for the end of the season would be Dover. Maybe I'm just a little bit of a homer on that one, but I've always thought that Dover produces really great racing, and I think it's one of those tracks it's unique in the fact that it's a shorter track, but it's very high banked, and I think it just always has exciting racing there at Dover.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to Dover, being that Larson has a history of doing well there. He actually, I'm looking at it now. The past 3 years he's ran at Dover, he's finished in the top three, and he actually got a win with Ganassi in 2019. So wouldn't mind seeing a Dover race for sure.
Yeah, and like I've kind of talked about this with other people in the past. I almost think I'm pretty sure NASCAR did say that next year Phoenix is not going to be the championship race. It's going to be somewhere else. But I know I'm not a big fan of the current playoffs format in NASCAR, but I think if I had to change it up and kind of keep it the same way it is now, I think one thing NASCAR could maybe do is with that championship race, kind of put it in a rotation where it's not always the same track every single year. I mean, we saw it for a very long time, Homestead Miami being that final race, and with the old chase format, you didn't have to come into that race and basically win to win the championship, but now when it comes down to one race, I feel like year to year there should be a little bit of a variety in terms of tracks.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, every guy has their track, but I think it would help to mix it up a bit. We saw Harvick; he's excellent at Phoenix. I think he broke the, or no, he tied with Petty and Earnhardt for most consecutive top tens at a racetrack at Phoenix. So it'd be cool to mix it up for sure. I mean, it's getting kind of boring, especially with Phoenix, because not a very exciting race, like I said. But
So obviously it was not the ideal weekend for Kyle Larson, but he did have a lot of speed in the Valvoline number 5, and I think that's a good sign because we are going to have that speed later in the season when we come back to Phoenix for the championship 4 race. Hopefully, we will not have any engine issues that weekend. So, like to kind of shift gears a little bit here now and talk about Kyle's weekend with the World of Outlaws. He had a really great weekend. He finished third on night one on Friday night, and then actually picked up the win on night two after passing Dominic Scelzi for the win. So I guess now we'll welcome in Austin. And Austin, how's it going?
Going excellent, man. I'm excited to be on.
Yeah, well, we're really glad that you could come in here and join us today and talk a little bit about Kyle's racing. I obviously was very surprised that Kyle went out and did the racing this weekend out in Tulare. I kind of thought that, he wasn't going to be able to do that, going back and forth, flying back and forth both days. But Kyle always seems to impress when he gets in the seat of that sprint car. And actually, it was not the Paul Silva 57; it was the Kevin Kozlowski 57, and picked up the first win for Kevin Kozlowski.
It's unbelievable, man. Never seems to disappoint at the simple fact that he can fly here, fly there, and two really good nights of racing from Larson. Night one, mistaken cutting down the track. I think he did it a little too early, and I think that cost him the win. But he had probably the best car in that race.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I think night one he probably did have the best car. I think if he maybe just waited a little bit there, he probably could have made that move, but obviously got up a little bit high there and lost the second spot, but ended up finishing third. But he definitely had the best car in night one. I think I was even surprised with how good he did night one, starting having to start ninth. I mean, he didn't even make the dash on night one, and missed the redraw, but like I knew coming into night two that he was going to be a contender for that win.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll never rule out Kyle Larson. The only thing with him, man, he's just got to qualify better. It comes down to that. I think if he can make his life a little easier in the qualifying, then I think it'd be hard for him to lose. Just it'd be as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean night two, I I was obviously coming into the night, with a pretty good outlook after night one, picking up the third place finish and fighting for the win with Giovanni Scelzi. Giovanni Scelzi had a great night, but night two got on the track third in hot laps and then ended up qualifying 22nd. I just couldn't understand where the speed went there for qualifying. Ended up having to start sixth in heat number two, and ended up finishing second in that heat after Craig Kinser's crash. It took him and Donnie Schatz out and right in front of Kyle. I mean, how lucky was Kyle to make it through that one?
Man, I can't, dude. That would probably determine the whole weekend for him. If he wasn't able to get through that, he probably would have been so upset about the weekend. Talking about Donnie Schatz, though, what a terrible night he had on Saturday. That incident, broken front wing panel, I think, from in the heat, and then ultimately flips in the feature. what a terrible night for him. But Kyle, man, if he didn't make it through that, he would have been really disappointed in his weekend. And I'm personally really glad he made it through that.
Dylan, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't catch the first night, but listen to everything you had to say about that. I watched the second race, and definitely a great race for sure. He looked quick. He was making his way through. Bastain was very quick. We saw Sweet make that run at the end, his brother-in-law. But I noticed he was running very well at the top of turn two. He gained a lot of speed coming off, and we saw him take advantage on that last restart off the cushion. He got like an insane burst of speed to just pretty much wrap the race up and get the win. So he's also amazing on the restarts, which is a really big thing. And he just has great vision and is great making adjustments to make the car faster and get an advantage over everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that restart at the end, that little move, I think if we could maybe link a clip to that in the YouTube description of this podcast, so just so our listeners can kind of understand what we're talking about, Kyle has started to do this little move on the restarts when a single file restarts when he'll get up on the cushion and kind of like he'll run over top the cushion, come into the restart zone, and he'll basically use the cushion as like a ramp coming down it to on that restart, and he'll just get a huge burst of speed coming down the main straightaway into turns one and two, and he did it again. He did it again on Saturday night and pulled away and pretty much checked out in order to win that race. So the first half of the race, we kind of saw Kyle run the bottom early, and it was just obviously just a very caution plagued first half of the race. Kyle, I think, played it very safe, running the bottom, kind of taking good care of his stuff, just working his way up through there up to the front, and then eventually, when he got behind Dominic Scelzi there, he moved up to the top, got a pretty good line going in one and two, diamonding off the corner, and just ultimately what just the fastest car won the race. And it's I mean, one of Kyle's favorite tracks. He said it that actually I think in his post race interview he said that it was his favorite track. So Dylan, are you surprised by that?
I mean, it's pretty crazy because he hasn't raced there since 2013, I believe. But I want to read a little stat here because that was his 25th career World of Outlaws win, and it was at his favorite track. But 13 of those reached their 25th win in less than 500 races. 25 racers have 25 plus World of Outlaws sprint wins, and only 7 did it in less than 400 and 5 less than 300. So that makes Larson the first driver in 42 years to reach that mark in less than 200 appearances, which is pretty crazy considering he doesn't race sprint cars full time and just shows his skill on the racetrack and what he can do with the car.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing there. I didn't know about that, but wow, I mean, I'm honestly not surprised either. I mean, Kyle is. It seems like every time he gets in the seat of any car, he is just very competitive, and he proved that again on Friday and Saturday night with the World of Outlaws. So, Austin, do you have any final thoughts on this weekend's outlaw racing?
I think I may have a couple. Just overall, the World of Outlaw sprint cars, these first couple races have been absolutely amazing. Nothing less than exciting. Spencer Baston coming in being a rookie of the year contender, he's really done well. He just hasn't had the best luck.
Mm-hmm.
But I this past weekend was two excellent races. I loved seeing Gio Scelzi just be absolutely unbeatable. His car was unbelievable night one, and he raced very, very well just from start to finish. And then his brother on night two, Dominic Scelzi, what a run he had. Both of them being pretty local to the track. I loved seeing it, but ultimately night two goes to the best guy.
You're right about that, and I agree. I think Spencer Baston, he definitely has a bright future ahead of him with the Outlaws. So, Austin, as always, thank you for joining in and talking a little bit of sprint car racing with us. We can't wait to have you back in here again, and have a good one.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yep. All right, Dylan. So, kind of moving into our last segment of the show today, we're going to just kind of dive into next weekend's race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Of course, this is going to be the first race on the new configuration there at Atlanta. They have changed the track from 24 degrees of banking to 28 degrees. They've narrowed the track down quite a bit. In the turns, it's from 55 feet wide to now only 40 feet wide. And of course, we're going to be seeing the 510 horsepower package with the 7-inch spoiler. So that is the same package that we see at Talladega and Daytona. So expect some very tight racing. I expect to probably see pack racing much like Daytona and Talladega. Back in January, there was a Goodyear tire test at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The only 3 drivers that participated in that test were Ross Chastain, Kurt Busch, and Chris Buescher. Those are actually the only 3 drivers that, have seen this new surface at Atlanta. So it will be very interesting, I think, to see how um, Kyle and some of the other drivers fare on this new surface.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting for sure. And another big thing is the next gen cars, different outcome with Phoenix, but hopefully it's a good race with this next gen and kind of keeps that trend spiraling upwards a little bit with an exciting race. But kind of have no idea what the Atlanta race is going to hold, being that, like you said, it's completely new track. Nobody's ran this new track, and nobody's ran on the new next gen, obviously. So I guess we'll just have to see on Sunday.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the drivers were very unhappy with the repave at Atlanta, and especially the reconfiguration. I mean, making it narrower and higher banked in the corners. A lot of drivers just didn't like that. I mean, Kyle included on that. I think back in July last year, he said in an interview that fans like crashes, and a 40-foot wide surface is just going to keep the cars tight together. So he said maybe that'll accomplish the good racing they think it is. So I mean, Kyle obviously not looking forward to the new surface, but I think the cream of the crop will rise to the top. Kind of just the drivers not really holding back on their thoughts on this new repave at Atlanta, but I guess we'll see this Sunday how it pans out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, NASCAR definitely is trying to make its way to get short tracks. We saw Auto Club, they're talking about reconfiguring Auto Club completely. So I just look at it, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's giving good races, then don't mess with it. But nothing we can do there. That's NASCAR's decision. So we'll see what happens on Sunday, and hopefully Kyle doesn't start from the rear this time. But he likes to race clearly, so he might just do something to make that happen. But yeah, we'll see on Sunday.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I mean, NASCAR. I think that they do a good job in keeping the series fresh in terms of tracks that they add to the circuit, but they do seem to have a trend here of getting rid of some of the tracks with the older surfaces, the ones that have more tire degradation, and some of those tracks are the ones that produce the best racing. I mean, we saw it at Auto Club with the race there. It was just a really good race, and I've honestly thought that Atlanta the past couple of years produced some really good races as well. But we'll see this weekend. So, kind of just wrapping things up here today. We will look ahead to this weekend's schedule at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Um, Practice will be on Friday at 5 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. NASCAR Cup Series qualifying will be on Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports 1. And finally, on Sunday, we will see the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 on Fox. The race distance for this weekend is 325 laps and 500 miles long. Stage 1 will be 105 laps, Stage 2 will be 105 laps, and Stage 3, the final stage, will be 115 laps long. So, thanks again for tuning in and listening to the show, everyone. As always, check out the links in our description for some awesome Kyle Larson Facebook groups, including the Kyle Larson Nation Fan Club. We'll be back again next Wednesday to recap this weekend's race at Atlanta and any other news that may come about. If you're listening on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please follow our podcast so you don't miss a thing. Have a great rest of the week, everybody, and enjoy the race on Sunday. We will see you in the next episode.